Good afternoon, on what is a mild, bright and blustery day. It is Tuesday, May the 16th. I've got a nice little cup of tea. And a parcel to unbox. So let's get it open. And in here I've got Shrapnel issue 1. Shrapnel issue 1, the official BattleTech magazine. Content from Michael A. Stackpole, Blaine Lee Pardoe, Kevin Killiany and Craig A. Reed Jr. Jump back into the cockpit, picking up the battle standard for BattleTech fiction. Shrapnel, the official BattleTech magazine, continues the tradition of hard-hitting stories set in the war-torn interstellar future of the 31st century and beyond. Fire up your mechs, fusion reactor, secure your neuro helmet, and wade into battle with stories from the merciless front lines of the clan invasion, conspiracy theory articles, game scenarios and more from veteran BattleTech authors, fan favourites and some new recruits. So, BattleTech. BattleTech is the essentially the hobby's preeminent, basically big stompy robot combat game. Most obviously a miniatures war game, typically played on a hex map, which has been Catalyst Labs has got the license now. Originally it was created and developed by Hansa, developed into a complete setting with lots of factions and storylines which you would play through, and you could play these official battles, and you could go and buy lots of miniatures. But it was developed also as a multimedia intellectual property, so you didn't just have the game itself, you know, BattleTech, and then, you know, CityTech and ArmorTech and so on, which you can use as sort of like as a combined arms sort of system. But ultimately it was focused upon the BattleTechs, the, you know, 10-meter high bipedal walking tanks, if you will, armed with lasers, autocannons, machine guns, long and short range missiles, particle projection cannons, and increasingly, as technology improved, more different types of weapons. Set in the 31st century, in the year 3000 and so on, typically starting about the year 3026 and ongoing. So you also have computer games, and you do have current computer games as well. Computer games and even a cartoon television series, followed by as well as fiction. Over 100 different fiction books. And I like the setting. I used to play a lot of the war game, the miniatures games in the 90s, because my friends were into it and we enjoyed it. We liked the setting, but I really like the fiction. So I thought I'd have a look at Shrapnel Volume 1 to see what it's like, because I've not read any BattleTech fiction in quite a very long time. And the thing is, Catalyst Labs are in the process of reissuing some of the classic titles, and then there was a big bundle of holding recently where they released sort of like, you know, about 60 of the books of fiction in various, essentially electronic format. So yes, I'd quite like to read those if I can find time, you know, along with the rest of all the other stuff I've got to read. But let's have a look inside Shrapnel. So yeah, this is available essentially as print on demand. So we have we open up with Commander's Coordinator's desk, got a list of short stories, serial novels, articles, and game features. So you've got essentially a range of fiction, some background content, and some gameable content as well. Open up with the command from the Commander's desk. You know, Commander's Call from the editor's desk, before we get into the first of the short fiction. And the thing is that there's a huge big background to this, and you're trying to write a good story, you've got to make it interesting. You've got to make the depiction of you know, combat between big stompy robots piloted by mech pilots, you know, interesting. And this is all black and white. It's not necessarily a lot to see. So let's have a look, just flipping through. So this is the first story itself is just quite long. So yeah, with 20 pages, you've got 20 pages of story in just the first opening section. Then we've got Secrets of the Sphere, the Cameron question. So this is going to add some sort of like some background and detail to the world of BattleTech, and the inner sphere, and some of its mysteries, because it is a setting with mysteries. It's like any good role-playing setting. It's got mysteries, some of which have been revealed, some of which haven't. Then we get into Blaine Pardoe's Flames of Idlewind. I'm just flipping forward because, you know, no point in showing blank pages. Nice bit of artwork, and that's one of the individual kind of battle suits. So just to put that in perspective, you know, so that's sort of individual little mini battle suits. I can't remember what they're called because it's been such a long time. But you can see them in operation on the front cover there, against an inner sphere battle mech, and I think that's a Whitworth. Can't remember. It's been a long time since I played any BattleTech. So in Forgotten Heroes, Slandered Honor, another bit of short story, another bit of fiction. Airs Above the Ground. Flipping forward. Sniple's Death from a Distance. Essentially, this is actual gameable content, so that's really for the Mech Warrior role-playing game, which has gone through a couple of iterations, and we've got a full list of sort of like different sniper rifles from the different factions. And to be fair, they're not necessarily all that. I mean, okay, you can do a lot of variations because it's a war game. Some weapons might be better, you know, is encumbering. Something that attack our roll might have better modifiers to attack, some to repair rolls, that sort of thing. But you know, the other thing is sort of like they're not illustrated, which is a bit disappointing. You know, you've got one there, but you don't know from whose faction it is. Yesterday's Enemy, another piece of fiction, and there are 4 volumes of this series so far. And you've got occasional bit of artwork like that's more of a classic piece of artwork, because you know, the BattleTech intellectual properties kind of has developed from a from a period when everything was depicted, apart from sort of like the cover of box artwork, everything was presented in black and white. And to some extent it still is, because you've got these fantastic line drawings which really originally came out of the Robotech and similar kind of settings. Anime settings. So yeah, if old acquaintances should be forget, a Cahall story. Michael Stackpole has written quite a lot of BattleTech fiction. It's always great to see him come back because he's a really good writer. So we've got a 4-part drama, so that's going to take up all. It's going to be across all 4 issues of Shrapnel to date. And then we've got details of a unit digest, Eridani Light Horse, because originally you could buy source books for these different units, and then you could go field them. And once you had the details like that, you could basically you could field them. You could go and field them as you could play them on the battlefield as a unit, whether you were fielding them yourself, or you were, you know, part of a bigger engagement, or you were fighting the big battles they were involved in, or you could just use them against your own forces. And then we've got Tales of the Cracked Canopy, another piece of fiction, and more. Mother of Resistance, Dead on Vipava, Chaos Campaign Scenario. This is, you know, more background. That's the gameable content. War and Rumours. So you've got a good mix in here, more fiction than anything else. But the advantage of fiction, essentially, you can enjoy the world, you know, without necessarily, you know, getting down and playing a game. You know, you can basically enjoy it vicariously rather than getting involved yourself in the moving images around firing weapons and the like. And you know, so you're playing that away from the battlefield, as it were. Discussion of the different factions and the same, rather the eras. Because, you know, you have present through to 2780 is the Star League, then you've got the Succession Wars, which is the first iteration of BattleTech, and then you have the Clan Invasion and the Civil War and so on, all the way through into the 32nd series. You've got submission guidelines and so on, a list of all the novels. So yeah, that's actually quite useful. So you've got a list of all the novels there back. Yeah, so so this is available print or demand. I got it from Amazon. So if you're interested and you want some extra fiction, it's quite an inexpensive little booklet. Yeah, so that's Shrapnel, the official BattleTech magazine, published by Catalyst Labs. Yeah, basically, if you're interested in the setting, you want more fiction setting. Anyway, thanks for watching another unboxing of the Nook. If you've enjoyed this, then please do click on the like button down below. And of course, if you've got any comments or feedback, I do appreciate you taking the time to post those. And last, if you want to be alerted to get more unboxings of the Nook, where you will see me out here with a package containing a book or game which I'll unbox and chat about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea. Oops, just put that back up there. Let's say it's a bit windy. Yep, basically, as I was saying, you know, if you basically want to be alerted to get more unboxings out here, you know, at typically a book or game, or in this case a magazine, which I will talk about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea, so I'm going to do that again. Then please do hit the subscribe button down below. Thanks again for watching another unboxing. I will be back with another one soon. Bye for now.